AITA for refusing to host my sister's wedding after she completely disrespected my boundaries and expectations. So, here's the long story. I, 34F, have a sister, Emily, 30F, who's always been a bit of a wild card. We're close in some ways, but we've had tension over the years because she tends to be pretty entitled and not great at respecting other people's time or feelings. Our parents are out of the picture, passed away a few years ago, so our relationship has been the main family dynamic. We've had ups and downs, but I generally try to keep things smooth for her sake. Fast forward to last year. Emily got engaged to her boyfriend of 2 years, Mark. He's a nice enough guy, but pretty laid back, and Emily is, well, let's say high maintenance. Right after she got engaged, she dropped a bomb on me. She wanted to have the wedding at my house. I live in a big suburban house that's perfect for a big party, so I guess it made sense logistically. At first, I was a little hesitant, but said I'd think about it, because hosting a wedding is a huge deal. I work full-time, have my own life, and honestly, the thought of hosting that many people and organizing it felt overwhelming. Emily seemed super excited, though, and promised she'd take care of all the planning and costs. I wanted to be supportive, so I said okay, but with some firm boundaries. I told her I wanted zero involvement in planning beyond basic house rules, and she would be responsible for cleaning up after the event. Also, no last-minute changes. I stressed that I had a busy schedule, and I couldn't drop everything to handle wedding drama. For the next 6 months, she was texting me constantly, asking about every little thing. Could she put tables in the backyard? Can the caterers use my kitchen? What about parking? I gave her the answers, but eventually had to set firm limits because she started pushing boundaries, inviting more people than we agreed, wanting the party to go until 3 a.m., and even asking if she could build a temporary structure on the lawn. 1 week before the wedding, she called me to say she was bringing in a band for the backyard, which was a surprise to me. I told her this wasn't what we had agreed on, and I was worried about noise and neighbors. She blew up, saying I was trying to ruin her day and that I was being controlling. I reminded her about the boundaries we had discussed, but she said she'd figure it out. That was stressful, but I tried to stay calm. The day of the wedding was a nightmare. First, they arrived early and started moving things into my house and yard without asking. The caterers used my kitchen and left a huge mess, breaking some dishes. The band started setting up and testing sound levels. It was so loud, my neighbors are banging on their walls. Emily ignored all my texts asking her to keep the noise down. The party started, and the number of guests was way beyond what we agreed on. Over 100 people showed up, and they were partying hard. Around 11 p.m., my upstairs neighbors called me to complain about noise and reported the party to the landlord. I'm renting my place. I had to deal with the landlord, who said if it happened again, I'd be evicted. I called Emily multiple times asking her to lower the volume and start cleaning up, but she was too drunk and told me to chill out and that it was her day. At 1 a.m., the band was still playing, guests were swimming in my pool without permission, and I found broken glass everywhere. My backyard was trashed. I told Emily she had to stop the party immediately or I'd call the cops. She laughed and said I was overreacting. Eventually, I called the cops myself. They came, shut down the party, and Emily was furious. She stormed off with Mark, leaving me with a huge mess and a mountain of broken furniture and trash to clean up. I spent the next 3 days fixing everything, and my landlord was threatening to increase my rent because of the damage and complaints. Since then, Emily hasn't spoken to me except for one passive-aggressive text blaming me for ruining her wedding day. I told her she disrespected my home and boundaries, and I'm not interested in hosting anything else for her in the future. She's been posting on social media about how my selfish sister ruined the best day of my life. My friends say I did the right thing standing up for myself, but my mom's best friend, who knows the whole family, said maybe I should have been more flexible and that it was Emily's big day, so I should have put up with a bit more. AITA for refusing to host my sister's wedding after she completely disregarded my rules and made my life miserable. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, When do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. AITA for refusing to let my brother's fiancée live with us after she was kicked out by her parents. This all started about 6 months ago when my 28F brother, 30M, got engaged to his girlfriend, Emily, 27F. My brother and I have always been pretty close, though we live in different cities. When Emily came into the picture, I was happy for him. He hadn't been in a serious relationship for years, so seeing him this happy was a nice change. But as time went on, some things about Emily started to bother me, and it all came to a head recently. Emily's parents have always been very strict and controlling over her. From what my brother told me, they didn't approve of the engagement because they thought Emily wasn't the right fit for him. Something about her job, or her background, or something else. Honestly, I didn't know the exact details because I wasn't super involved, but it was clear her parents didn't like her. Fast forward to last month, Emily's parents kicked her out. No official reason given, but apparently some big fight happened and they told her to pack her stuff and leave immediately. Emily called my brother in tears, and he was understandably upset. He immediately told me about the situation and asked if she could stay with me temporarily until they sorted things out. Now, I live alone in a small 2-bedroom apartment. It's honestly not that big, but I was willing to make space. However, I told my brother I needed to meet Emily first and understand the situation better before agreeing. When Emily came over, I tried to be welcoming, but it quickly became apparent that she wasn't just going through a rough patch. She was behaving like she was entitled to stay indefinitely. Within days, Emily was acting as if the apartment was hers. She started rearranging furniture, leaving her stuff all over the place, and even tried to take over my kitchen and bathroom schedules. I'm someone who values my personal space, so I found this really uncomfortable. When I gently brought it up, she brushed it off and said she was just making herself at home. Meanwhile, my brother started pressuring me to let her stay longer, saying it was unfair and unkind to put her out again after everything she'd been through. I get that, but I felt like I was being taken advantage of. Emily didn't have a job, and my brother was still working full-time, so he wasn't really able to support her financially. I offered to help her look for jobs and other housing options, but Emily wasn't interested. She said she was focusing on wedding plans and didn't want to stress about finding a place right now. Things got worse when she started inviting friends over without telling me, and my quiet evenings were disrupted by loud gatherings. I talked to her about this too, but she said she needed to blow off steam and that I should be more understanding. At this point, I was feeling very overwhelmed. After about 3 weeks, I told my brother that I couldn't continue hosting Emily under these conditions. I said she needed to find another place soon because I needed my home back. My brother got very angry, accused me of not being a good sister, and said I was being selfish by not supporting his fiancée in her time of need. The argument escalated, and now our whole family is involved. Some relatives think I'm right for standing my ground, while others say I should have just been more accommodating since it's family. Emily hasn't been talking to me either and apparently told my brother she thinks I'm cold and unwelcoming. I feel like I was trying to help initially, but Emily took advantage of my kindness and disrespected my boundaries. I also think my brother should have been more involved in supporting her instead of leaving it mostly to me. So, AITA for refusing to let my brother's fiancée continue living with me after she was kicked out by her parents. AITA for refusing to pay for my sister's wedding after she excluded me from the planning and then guilt-tripped me for not contributing. This has been a long and painful situation, and honestly, I still don't know if I'm the asshole here or not. So I'm turning to Reddit for some perspective. I, 28F, have a younger sister, 25F, named Emily. We've always been close growing up, but as we got older, our lives diverged a bit. I'm more career-focused, live in a different city, and have been financially independent for a few years. Emily stayed in our hometown and hasn't had the same financial stability as me. We've always supported each other emotionally, but money was never really a thing we talked about openly. About 6 months ago, Emily got engaged to her boyfriend, Mark. Mark's a decent guy, though not particularly ambitious or well-off. They've been together for around 2 years. When she first told me about the engagement, I was genuinely happy for her. I asked if there was anything I could do to help with the wedding plans, but she said they wanted to keep things small and handle everything themselves, which I thought was fair. However, as time went on, I realized that Emily was making decisions without telling me, even though she knew I wanted to be involved. I wasn't expecting to be the maid of honor or anything, but it felt weird that she completely excluded me. When I asked about attending the planning meetings or helping with any aspects, she brushed me off, saying she was stressed and wanted to keep it simple. Around 2 months ago, I found out through our mom that the wedding was going to be much bigger and more expensive than Emily had initially told me. Apparently, she and Mark decided to invite over 200 people and book an expensive venue. My mom said she was worried about how they were going to pay for it all because Emily's job doesn't pay well and Mark doesn't have a steady income. Then, a few weeks ago, Emily sent me a message asking if I could help cover part of the costs. She said she and Mark were struggling financially and hoped I could contribute at least $3,000. This was a shock because I wasn't even sure they expected help from me, especially after being so distant from the planning. I told Emily that I was happy to celebrate their wedding, but wasn't in a position to give that much money, especially without being involved in the process. Emily then started sending me texts that really guilt me. She said she thought I cared about her and the wedding. It was hurtful that I wasn't willing to help family. She said other relatives were chipping in, and I was being selfish. I tried to explain that I felt left out and that I wasn't trying to be selfish, but it didn't seem to matter. The tension between us escalated. Emily stopped talking to me and started posting things on social media about family support and the importance of being there for each other, which I took personally. I also heard from some mutual friends that she was telling people I refused to help her and was cold about the whole thing. Last weekend was the wedding. I didn't go because I didn't feel comfortable given how things had played out. Our parents and a few other family members went, and they later told me it was beautiful, but that Emily was still upset with me. I've since had a few family members ask if I'm going to make amends or contribute after the wedding because apparently Emily is still hurt. Honestly, I'm torn. I love my sister and I want to be supportive, but I feel like she shut me out and then expected me to just pay a huge amount of money without even involving me in the planning. It doesn't feel fair, and now I'm worried that I've damaged our relationship permanently. So Reddit, am I the asshole for refusing to pay for part of my sister's wedding under these circumstances? Should I have just contributed even if I felt left out? Or was Emily wrong to guilt trip me and exclude me like this?